What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazique, aka UniqueMazique, the hardest working man in sports and gaming. And this is the second episode of At Me Bro. And I got my co-host with me and the birthday man, Nelson Blake the second. What's going on, Books?
Nothing much, man. Enjoying my birthday, my 40th birthday for all the young kids out there.
Yeah.
It's been great so far.
I wasn't gonna say how old you was. I was gonna let you do it first.
No, I'm happy. Listen, where I came from, making it to 40 is an accomplishment.
Yeah,
right?
hey,
So
I'm telling you.
You know what I mean? And
Right.
I'm happy with the health I'm in right now. Like when I was around 37, 38, I was in pretty bad shape and starting to feel my age. And now I actually feel younger than I felt in several years. So I'm very grateful to be at this age at this time.
That is a beautiful thing. That is a beautiful thing. Being grateful is a great thing. So, guys, we're going to jump into this episode of the show. If you saw last week's episode, if you saw a couple of the segments and you did not yet hit that like button, you should be doing that now if you dug what you saw. And if you have not yet subscribed, go ahead and do that. But that leads me to something before we get into our topics, which is this. We have set a goal, right? And we have set a relatively lofty goal. What we want to do is we want to have At Me Bro have its own YouTube channel. So on that channel, all you would see is full episodes of At Me Bro, as well as individual segments like we did last week. But before we do that, we kind of want the attention and the love and just the engagement from you guys to substantiate that. So what Nelson and I have agreed to is that once we get 10,000 collective views across all of the episodes. So I'm not just talking about 10,000. I'm not talking about 10,000 in one video. I'm saying, which would be great, but 10,000 collective views across the episodes. And then we'll say, you know what? I think we've been out there enough. I think people are digging us enough to say we can do our own channel. And then we'll, from that point on, we'll start posting there. We'll still probably drop some segments here, and maybe Nelson will do some stuff like that on his channel as well. But that's the goal. So hopefully we can get to that point. I think we will. I feel positive in it, and we got some good positive feedback from the comments from the last episode. So hoping to keep that going. All right, let's jump right into it. And I got some stuff I need to talk about.
What's bothering you, Mazique?
We like to get stuff off our chest here. That's what that's kind of what we do. And this is not even bothering me. It's just some parts of it did bother me. The main part, I should say. So in case you guys missed it, this past week or earlier this week, a member of the inaugural season of the NBA 2K League was dismissed from the league and disqualified from being a part of it in terms of moving forward. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about Austin Painter, aka Boo Painter. Before he was Boo Painter, he was known as Shump in the 2K Pro-Am community. He had an outstanding season in season 1 for Wizards District Gaming, and was the leading scorer in the season, the most consistent performer on that team across pretty much every aspect of the game. He was the most consistent performer. But there was a press release that came out, and I got a hold of it, and I put it out, but they did not give details as to why Boo Painter was dismissed. I don't know. I really don't know. There's a lot of things swirling around. People talking about my team and some other stuff and all this, that, and the third. Nobody knows for sure, right? Except for Boo Painter and some folks involved in the league, and maybe some people that Boo may have shared the information with. I'm not one of those people. But what I do know is that the league is taking player conduct very, very seriously. So if you aspire to be a part of this league, and I've been saying this for over a year now, but perhaps now people are really going to grasp what's going on. I don't know what Boo may or may not have done. I don't know whether or not he has an appeal. I don't even know if he was wrongly accused. I don't know any of that. But I know that if you want to be a part of this league, or if you're already a part of it, and they have laid down their rules and code of conduct to you, it is in your best interest to take those things very seriously. You are not going to slide by. You are not whoever you think you are or whoever you might think you are, and you're going to be exempt from that. If you run afoul of these rules, it's going to happen. And you know what? It doesn't even matter if you agree with them or not. It doesn't, because when you work for someone and they're paying you, you are subject to their rules, which is something that you have a choice to decide whether or not you want to be a part of from the beginning. So before you sign on that dotted line and say, whoever I am, who you are, will adhere to these rules, you better make sure that you're willing to do that, because it would be a shame for you to lose out on a great opportunity like this because of something that doesn't even have anything to do with playing the game that you're being paid to play. That is, that's the bottom line of it. I don't know how much of that you follow books, but what was your thoughts?
Well, I agree with you. I think there's a couple of things going on with this. A slightly separate conversation, but part of the same thing, is sometimes when a company has a behavioral policy, you don't agree with it. Mm-hmm. And I think in the Twitter social media age, sometimes companies overstep. I'm not saying this is the case with Boo, because nobody in the public sphere has hardcore information of what happened. We saw the My Team DMs and all that other stuff. But he said that wasn't why he was dismissed, not that it wasn't true. Mm-hmm. So we'll see where that goes with that. But sometimes they have, codes of conduct that overstep. Sometimes they go to the point where you can't express any opinion any kind of way that, quote unquote, tarnishes their brand. And we start to get to an area of thought police. This goes back to what I was saying about the 2K community last year. What y'all need to do is consistently stay on top of the developers to provide you with the tools to hold your own tournaments, to broadcast these tournaments, and to make sure that these tournaments are as entertaining as possible. Because the 2K League and the individuals outside of the 2K League will be healthier if the 2K League is not the only version of competitive NBA 2K. There are things, there's things in terms of personality, presentation, just branding, a lot of things overall in other communities that are formed from the grassroots community that either compete with, enrich, or inform the established version of that community. And if you don't have that feedback loop of resources, you get into a situation where the 2K League, before you're even in the 2K League, could tell you how to behave. Now, sometimes that behavior is proper, sometimes it's improper. That's vary on a case-by-case basis. Sometimes people saying stuff on Twitch we all disagree with. Sometimes it might be something only some of us disagree with, and that you have a perfect right to say. You don't have to. And like you hit the nail on the head. If you want their paycheck, you got to act their way. If you don't want to act their way, you got to find a way to make your paycheck. Yeah. In whatever way that is. And for the 2K competitive community, they got to recognize that they're in an infancy stages, and the 2K League has all of the power right now, and you either have to respect that power or challenge that power. And that's my feedback on that. Even though from what I've heard in the cases of the bannings and the ineligibilities that occurred in this past week, those don't fit the criteria of necessarily thought police, because everything that I saw, the accusations, the rumors, so far that stuff looks like it would be outside of the bounds of most codes of conduct.
Yes, I would agree. Sometimes I think you can be too much of a hustler for your own good. And I say that as a hustler myself. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you that mentality to hustle and to grind and to get more and to get more and to get more and get more can get you into trouble, because sometimes you're in a good place, but your mentality that drives that hustle doesn't turn off. Yeah. And you're constantly looking and trying to grab more and more and more, when if you just sit back and you chill. And like I said, I don't know what happened. But if you just sit back and you chill, you'll find yourself in a better situation, and there will be more opportunities that will present themselves. But sometimes it's not a time to hustle. Sometimes it's a time to sit back and reflect, observe, and absorb.
I couldn't agree more.
Sometimes that's a difficult balance for a person who's a natural hustler,
Well,
So
the world that we live in, there's a lot of influence and pressure to just stack numbers, whether it be views, whether it be money, units, whatever it is. But sometimes there's a number that once you pass that number, you have to change or participate in habits or behaviors that you haven't decided whether or not they're best for you at that time or in the future. So sometimes you might be at 10,000, and in order to get 20,000, you might have to do something you don't like, and you might have to chill at 10,000 a little longer than you want to in order to retain your integrity and all that stuff. So I think you hit on some great points, man. I think in the hustle game, whether it's 2K or anything else, you always have to sit back and listen to yourself and check what's best for me, what's my goals. And the goal can't just be to make money and get rich. Because if you get good at what you're doing, you are going to make money.
Yes.
Don't treat making money like it's something you don't have and can't have. Improving yourself and showing that improvement to other people is how you make money. So, and that's virtually guaranteed if you do those things. And there's a fine line between hustle and desperation. And I think in the 2K community on some of these channels, they need to not let their audience lead them astray sometimes.
Oh man, for real.
And that might be a rant for another day. I'm gonna give y'all the rest of the season to let us know whether that's something we should get into. But in other news about people's mouths getting them in trouble, Draymond and KD got into it, and when it first happened, most people thought that it was nothing. Now, I'm gonna ask your opinion, B, because that's how we do the trade-offs here. But before I do that, I just gotta dip in a little bit of a 2 cents.
Yeah.
The specificity of this situation. KD. So we all know how KD got to the Golden State Warriors. Draymond Green came out and took credit for that.
Yeah.
And Draymond Green is on record calling LeBron a derogatory name of a female dog during the game because of what he thought of him and the way he conducted himself. KD, because of his move to Golden State, has been classified in that same way by much of the greater basketball community.
Yes.
So for Draymond, the guy who brought you here, to look at you being an alpha dog, and no question, KD is the #1 scorer in the league and has been for a very long time. Long time. 100%. Right? I think Kobe passed the torch to him, not LeBron. In terms of go-to scorer, end of the game, KD the guy.
Yes, he is.
KD playing his role, being an alpha dog, seeing the court, asking for the ball to be trusted with the decision at the end of the game. Draymond's reaction to him asking for that was to give him the label that every time someone on the internet has called KD a snake or a female dog, KD has responded no matter how random the person is. You talking about people filling a stereotype, Cheeto dust on their belly, cookie crumbs in their lap in their grandmama's basement.
What?
Call KD, you a snake and a bitch, and he hop on Twitter. He might be coming out the sauna. Jump over to his phone. I ain't know that. You don't know what I do. Right. So now, for your own teammate, your brother, to call you that, not just in the locker room, but in front of God and everybody and every camera, every news outlet, to specifically use that word. And here's the last part, Mazique. I'm gonna let you take it.
Yes.
He ain't just call him that, which is a very sensitive place for KD.
Yes.
He ain't just call him that for doing his job.
No.
Which was calling for the ball where he wasn't even covered yet.
Yeah.
And not only did he turn the ball over and put them into overtime in the game that they lost.
Right.
But he continued it after.
Yes.
Clay got between them. Coaches got between them. He yelled at his face after it got calmed down. After Boogie dragged him away, we hear they did it
The
again
locker room.
in the locker room, which to me says that Draymond didn't just call him that, but believes that he is that,
Is that?
and that KD knows that that Draymond believes that. That's my interpretation of the situation and why it could be bigger than what it was.
I wish that I disagreed. I wish that I did. But that's exactly what I think. Because here's the thing. When you get in an argument with people, this is why I say this to my children. I say this to my wife. When you are mad at somebody that you care about, watch what you say.
Yeah.
Because once you put it out there in the air, you can't take it back. And there is an element of truth to what you said. And him calling him that, there was also some stuff that came out that said that he believes that Kevin Durant is making this season about himself and his own free agency. Now, we just beat you in a playoff series. I got on the phone, talked to you in the Hamptons or wherever it is we met, talked, and I convinced you to come and join us. Now, me as a person, if I'm Draymond, I would have never done that. I would have never left a team. I think all of us feel pretty confident in saying that if the shoe had been on the other foot, Draymond would have told him, dude, I ain't never doing that. I ain't never doing that. But I got you to be able to do it.
Yes.
So it's kind of like this. You talking to a guy or a girl is talking to a female or a male that they do not respect. But they're trying to get them to do something that they want them to do. Now, they know good and well that if you do this thing that I'm asking you to do, I'll benefit from it. But I'm going to look at you different if you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And Draymond solicited Kevin Durant to do something that in turn resulted in his opinion of him dropping and his respect level for him dropping. And now when he gets mad, what are you?
Right. And he lords it over him.
And you're what I always called you to be. You know, and I'm going to tell you, and I put a video out about this yesterday. I believe that Draymond Green could very well be the reason that this dynasty breaks up. Now, I'm of the belief that Kevin Durant's going to the Lakers anyway. I'm of the 100% belief Durant is a Laker next year. And this is based off some things that I've heard, some people who have said some stuff that have not been wrong before. This is what I believe is going to happen, right? So I don't know if you saw, there's some controversy about Kevin Durant mouthing the words during the altercation. That's why I'm out. I don't think that this decision is 100% solely based on Draymond. I think Durant has taken this assassin type of a persona because it's kind of like how LeBron redefined the whole thing in terms of what a great player is supposed to do. You know, before, during the Magic and the Michael days, you, as a great player, you went down with the Titanic or you rose with the Titanic. That's what great players were expected to do. Well, LeBron came and changed that. LeBron said, no, I control my destiny. I'll do what I want to do. I'll go where I want to go. Yes, there was some nasty, backlash from fans. But at the end of the day, we're going to look and see how many rings I won, how many MVPs I won, blah, 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 blah. And then that's why I'll get my respect. I changed the game. And so now Durant is even taking it even further if he leaves. It's like, you know what? I'm an assassin. Wherever I go, I get to kill. So I left Oklahoma City. We couldn't get it done. It was Westbrook's there, but I came to Golden State. I'm an assassin. I did my job, contract over, call me Agent 47. I killed it. Put the barcode on the back of my neck. Now I go to the Lakers. And if I want to be an assassin here, boom, 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 I'll put 2 to 3 championships away. And then at the end, maybe I want to tackle the Big Apple. I'm an assassin. And I think that is the persona that he may be going with.
I don't 100% disagree with you, but I think there's another element to this. And the thing for me, we talked about this in the previous segment about you have to decide what's important to you.
Yes.
Kevin Durant might not have been a championship or bust type personality. Everybody isn't like that, especially knowing that the big three in Boston can happen, LeBron in Miami can happen, because that changes things. Because when a team gets stacked, it's different rules than like the 90s when every team had 2 All-Stars or less for the most part. And if they had a third All-Star, it was a Rodman or
It was
Oakley.
rare.
It wasn't a real All-Star. They didn't have 2 MVPs and a guy averaging 22 points a game. It wasn't like that, right?
Right.
So everybody's not championship or bust. Some guys are just like, I'm gonna go out and kill it and compete to the best of my abilities, get my contracts. If we win it, great. If we don't, I tried my best. But everybody else convinces you that it's championship or bust. So what do? You do anything to get a championship. Here's how it ties into what we were talking about deciding what's best for you. People think when they get rich, it's going to change something inside of them. And then you get this money and you miserable.
Yeah.
Jada Pinkett Smith talked about how she cried for 45 days straight or better in their marriage because she had everything she thought she wanted and none of it made her happy.
Mm-hmm.
He's on the best team with the best coach, best shooter of all time, one of the best areas, smartest management, got the rings, won everything, beat LeBron. Honestly, who looks happier in their own skin? Him or Russell Westbrook with no championship being a king of OKC?
Yeah.
Kevin Durant knows what it's like to be the king of OKC.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what it's like to have the organization worship you, to be the most important or share the most importance with another guy that's your brother and have the whole thing catered around you. They made managerial mistakes about letting Harden go and not getting those guys enough shooting.
Ibaka, yeah, a whole lot.
Letting Ibaka go, right? They made mistakes that he didn't agree with. He didn't think and he said this on his burner account. He said it's not Westbrook, it's the decisions that they were making. We can't beat and his thing was we can't beat LeBron like that because he knows he knew he could beat Golden State. I think he believes in his heart he could beat Golden State, and that's why it bothers him that Draymond is showing his butt the way he's showing his butt right now, because Draymond is saying what we said before. You my son.
Yeah.
I got you to do this. You would have never won without us, and we won't without you. You don't tell me when to give up the ball.
Yeah.
Even after a turnover, no humility in this man. And not only did Kevin Durant put himself in that situation, but he believes in his heart, you're not the guy that scared me. I wasn't scared of you and Stephen Clay. We had y'all down 3-1. If Andre Robertson could hit a 3-point shot, we wouldn't even be in this conversation.
We would have beat y'all in 5.
Right. LeBron is the one that I needed the help for. And now you're supposed to be my brother, and you sitting on here not only turning against me, but doing it in front of everybody. I think my father taught me a great lesson one day. I asked him, Dad, they always tell you you're not supposed to fight, but sometimes you have to defend yourself. When do you know when you went too far, when you're not supposed to fight? My father said, when you wake up in the morning. When you wake up in the morning and look in the mirror, you know whether or not you should have done what you did or you didn't do what you should have done.
Yeah.
And KD woke up after them championships. He never looked like he really celebrated.
No.
The media's been talking about it this whole time. It didn't satisfy him. And I think this Draymond incident is Draymond manifesting that in another man in front of everybody else. What's been bothering KD all this time while he be answering these tweets, he is not comfortable with the decision he made. He is not happier despite everything else.
You make a good point too, because look at the difference in championship celebrations between the 2 that LeBron won in Miami and the one he won in Cleveland.
Ain't no secret. Easy to tell.
It's easy to tell. It's easy to tell. So, and I think we're looking at something similar with KD. But I mean, this is something that we could probably talk about.
Because Pat Riley's Draymond.
Yeah.
Because those are Pat's championships.
Yes.
Right? And then LeBron did his role, but Dwayne Wade won a championship with that organization before. Pat Riley, history of championships in various different ways.
Right.
Right? So when LeBron goes there, he's supposed to sit down, shut up, and play a role. And Pat Riley went one sit down and shut up too far. And this is behind closed doors. But the thing that is the tell is that when LeBron left, Pat was furious because LeBron never voiced to him
that he was getting tired.
Right. Yeah. And we see in this between the two players, I think it's a very similar dynamic.
I think it's very similar. Like, dude, you got a problem with me that you've been harboring, and you gonna let it come to a head against the freaking Clippers on national television right after you didn't give me the ball when you were supposed to,
and turned it over, and we lost.
That's why I think this is deeper than a regular just a fallout.
I agree.
So, but yeah, we could talk about that forever, but we're going to get to something that we 100% disagree on. I promise you. I promise
shoot.
You. Yes, in the face. It's time to talk about it. It's time to talk about it. What do you think? And I'm going to start this off because let me lay it down for you. Let me lay it down like 8-Ball and MJG. Lay it down. Lay it down. All right. What do you think Derrick Rose's Hall of Fame chances are? And you see, I'm going to Chicago because I'm clapping. I'm going to Chicago because I'm clapping as I say this. So here's the thing. I'm being realistic, right? I'm going to be realistic.
No, you're not.
I 100% am. I 100% am. So as of right now, I'm going to set the scene. As of right now, if Derrick Rose does not go to the Hall of Fame, he'll be the only player in the history of the game to have won an MVP and to not go to the Hall of Fame. On top of that, he's also won a Rookie of the Year. So he won Rookie of the Year and MVP. He'll be the only player in the league, let alone both awards, but to have won the MVP and not go to the Hall of Fame. Now, at this point right now, I would totally agree with him not making it. As much as I love Derrick Rose, I would totally agree he's not a Hall of Famer. Okay. But what I will say is this. If Derrick Rose can win a 6-man and or play a decent role on a championship team, I think he then becomes a Hall of Famer. What say you?
Well, first of all, this
Here we go.
No. Because see, people are gonna think I'm a Derrick Rose hater.
They're gonna know it.
I'm a Derrick Rose realist.
No, you're not. You're not.
Said the Chicagoan.
No.
That tarp in the back is covering the Derrick Rose poster, y'all.
No.
It's just a big.
The Derrick Rose poster is in the other room. I fist bump it every day. No.
So what you say about the MVP is true. So here's the thing. This goes back to Tracy McGrady and Grant Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Two men who do not deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, mercy, heaven help us today.
And they're in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
Tracy McGrady has had zero impact on the NBA championship. Ever.
That's true.
Ever. Not once. Not one season can you say he had an impact on the NBA championship. He never has. I would even argue he didn't even beat a spoiler team. Like, he didn't even pull a Baron Davis and upset a team that was like in first place or something like that, and then lose in the second round.
Well,
but I know Tracy McGrady led the league in scoring a couple times.
Yes.
And Tracy McGrady was super nasty for a while. He's super nasty.
Super nasty.
But at the end of the day, he ain't do nothing. He just got to put up a lot of points.
He didn't do nothing.
No, my thing for doing something, even Chris Paul, who has been to the Western Conference Finals only once, has beaten strong teams, put on great playoff performances, you know what I'm saying, been to the second round a lot of times, and every year, always there consistently, and his injuries have never taken him out of the game for so long, that blah, blah, blah. Tracy McGrady is very, very borderline. Grant Hill is below him. Grant Hill spent most of his career sitting down. We know that potentially
sitting down.
We know that potentially, and it's tragic. I love Grant Hill. He's awesome. I met Grant Hill, one of the nicest people I ever met in my life.
Yes, he's a nice guy. Very nice.
Right, he came to my job once. So I like Grant Hill, intelligent guy, great example to the kids, and would have been one of the greatest players of all time. Probably at worst the fourth best, maybe fifth best small forward if he'd been able to be healthy his whole career, get on a championship team. You're looking at top 5 small forwards. Better than a Paul Pierce and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
He would have been like offense, defense. He'd have been all parts of the game, share the ball, score the ball. Guy was amazing, great leader, but he got hurt. Yeah. He got hurt, wound up not ever doing nothing.
He said he never did nothing, y'all. He didn't do nothing.
However,
nothing.
At least he has Duke. It's the basketball Hall of Fame.
Because it's the basketball Hall of Fame.
Right.
Yes.
What Tracy McGrady do outside of the NBA? Yeah. So, what's Derrick Rose's college legacy? Choking at the free throw line.
Oh.
And letting Mario Chalmers take his lunch.
Oh my God. Till you do right by me, everything you do. Everything you do. This is just ridiculous talk. This is ridiculous talk. And you know what? First and foremost, all right. You know what? This is a shame that you would. Okay, first of all, you said that Grant Hill was below Tracy McGrady on this list.
Yeah.
How can he be below Tracy McGrady on this list when you consider the amount of college basketball success that he's had and their professional career in terms of accomplishments is comparable? Grant Hill won the Rookie of the Year. He's a 7-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA guy. Tracy McGrady did not win the Rookie of the Year. He's a 7-time All-Star, 7-time All-NBA guy. So, and on top of that, the little bit of time that I won't even say a little bit of time, the time that Grant Hill spent active, he had way more playoff success than Tracy McGrady. So I also think that Grant Hill deserves some love for the type of player that he became in the second half of his career.
I agree. I'm glad he's in. I just don't think he deserves to be in.
See, I totally acknowledge that neither of those guys are open and shut cases. I acknowledge that. I do. So I don't think that anybody who questions their place in the hall is totally crazy. I don't. So you're saying, if I'm understanding correctly, that because those two guys are in, then now all bets is off. All logic goes out the window. You might as well let Derrick.
Not all logic, just most of it. Why? Kemba Walker gonna get in the Hall of Fame according to this criteria.
How? What is Kemba Walker has not won the things that these other guys have won. Kemba Walker has put up really good numbers in his career. He's put up really good numbers,
which has put him on the All-Star teams, and he had decent college career too.
He won 2 All-Star.
He might make it. He almost definitely gonna make the All-Star team this year.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He will. He definitely.
Yeah. He got more All-Star teams. He better now than he ever been.
Yeah. He's gonna make the All-Star team. He definitely is. But his college career was okay. It was good. It was good. He had one spectacular college season.
Hey, I mean, hey, that's where we at now.
No.
We got guys never been out the first round of the playoffs getting in the Hall of Fame. Which is,
and Kemba,
no college accomplishments, never been out of the first round of the playoffs. That's where we at.
But Tracy McGrady
spend your whole career in the hospital, get in the Hall of Fame because you had 2 good years. That's where we at.
No,
you had 3 good years, Hall of Fame. That's where we at.
Tracy McGrady is a 2-time scoring champion. He's also a most improved player. Kemba Walker hasn't won any individual awards. He's on his way to his 3rd All-Star. And I love Kemba. You want to talk about meeting somebody and they're nice. I've met Kemba Walker. He is
he got a lot of career left.
Yeah, he does. He's only 28.
He get 3 more All-Star games, which is totally feasible, especially the way he's playing right now.
Absolutely.
And they got a couple of decent young players on that squad. So
yes.
they might make the playoffs a few times. Like, especially the way Washington playing, there's some spots opening up. I ain't talking about 35-year-old Kemba Walker. I'm talking about 28-year-old Kemba Walker.
Yeah,
it's not even close to infeasible that he would make the make the Hall of Fame the way he's going right now. Even though, as those of us here present, we know Kemba Walker has not been considered a top 5 point guard at any point in his career.
he probably should be in the last 2 years, especially.
Well, me and you think it's generally debatable, especially with him and Kyrie and John Wall. We think that's closer than people give it credit for.
Yes.
But that having been said, most people think, Steph, Harden, Russ, Dame, and one of the other guys, depending on Chris Paul, right?
Yeah.
And most people are open and close that conversation based on whether or not James Harden is considered point guard. So, and then a lot of people say Kyrie hands down, no discussion. How could you dare ever think that Kyrie and Kemba Walker are even close to the same kind of player?
Because and those people are high. Because
we agree here, but we know that they don't think that way. And despite that, Kemba Walker is looking like a shoo-in if he go at the pace that he going right now, making an All-Star team. I don't know, he's like 26-10 or something crazy this year. Like
26-6.
26-6. So he balling, right?
Yes,
he balling. His percentages are up. He's balling, crazy out,
killing. So I mean, okay, if Kemba Walker continues on the pace that he's on now for the next 4 to 5 years, he probably does deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Because
even if he never gets out the first round, he gonna make it because of Derrick Rose, Grant Hill, and Tracy McGrady lowering the bar. So yeah, I think in the limbo game that they playing of lowering the bar, yeah, Derrick Rose could bend his sword back enough to slide under it. Yes,
is insane, man. How can you disrespect the MVP, the Rookie of the Year, in this scenario, a 6-man winner? There's never been a player in NBA history to win all 3 of those awards.
If he wins 6-man, it's a different discussion. If he wins, like I said, I think he gets in. Here's the thing. He hasn't. Derrick Rose, to be fair, when he was young, those Bull teams were good.
Yeah.
I don't think they were better than they were. Like, that's as good as they were going to be.
No, they were. They were Eastern Conference title contenders.
I mean, they were Eastern Conference title participants.
They were title contenders.
He didn't have a snowball's chance of hell of beating the Celtics or the Heat.
No. They were a shooting guard away from being able to beat the Heat.
Well, I'm talking about the teams that exist, not your fantasy Bulls team from that year. I ain't talking about the 2K team you made. I'm talking about the actual team.
No,
don't talk to a Knicks fan about being a shooting guard away. I ain't trying to hear it. I ain't trying to hear it. A Chicago guy ain't gonna sit here and lecture me about being a shooting guard away.
If that Bulls team had Tim Hardaway Jr., we would have beat the Heat.
This Tim Hardaway Jr. Maybe if y'all had Alonzo Trier, y'all would definitely beat the Heat.
Oh my God, I'm so tired of you and Alonzo Trier.
The Trier wash is looking good for me. That's all I'm saying.
He's playing, but it's way too early to.
Your skepticism is looking worse by the day, my friend.
He's playing. He's balling. I will give him that. He's a really good athlete, but whatever.
But with great reluctance, the cast of At Me Bro agrees that if Derrick Rose wins 6-man of the year, he has to get into the Hall of Fame.
Bam.
Because of Grant Hill and Tracy McGrady.
No, because
it's all they fault.
Deserves it. You start the WWE chant. You deserve it. You deserve it. That is what it is. I'm so tired every day I get to fight.
I tell you what, if he play 82 games, I'll become a reporter and vote for him myself.
Well, that ain't gonna happen. But I don't even want him to play 82 games. Play 82 games, he ain't gonna play none the next season. So I don't want that. We don't need that. But all right, let's shift gears. We've been knee deep in basketball, and now it's time to talk about some MMA. So what is it that you should know about MMA this week? To be honest, on paper, this looks like a pretty trashy week in MMA. I did a video yesterday. How bad exactly is the UFC Fight Night 140 card? On paper, it looks like big time trash. I mean, you got a main event of Neil Magny against Santiago Ponzinibbio, which that fight should be like the featured fight on a mid-level prelim card. At the best, it should be the opening fight of a main card, but on this bad boy, it's the main event. Now, it's in Argentina, and Santiago Ponzinibbio is from Argentina. So there's the local thing going on there. Also, Ponzinibbio is on a 6-fight win streak, but he hasn't fought since December of 2017. Magny is one of those guys who has been floating around title contention for years, but every time he gets right there to the cusp, he loses. And because he does not have a UFC approved type of personality, he's got to absolutely win his way into a title shot. he's not going to get anything because his name don't sell any tickets, and his fighting style isn't horrible. It's just that you're not going to hear Neil Magny talking unless he's in a post-fight interview. He's not going to be saying anything else any other way. So I don't know. But a lot of times cards like this end up being some of the most entertaining cards to watch because it's packed with hungry guys and girls who are trying to make a statement. And that usually, can sometimes bring about a good card. There's a Bellator card on Friday, and you're going to have Patricio Pitbull defending the featherweight title against Emmanuel Sanchez. And that one's in Tel Aviv, Israel. So, nothing in the United States going on from a major MMA standpoint, but those two cards are what's out there. Are you planning on watching either of those? Well, the Bellator one is on DAZN, so you got to have DAZN to watch that one.
This weekend, probably not. I'm probably going to be doing some birthday stuff this weekend.
Okay, turn up. Turn up without MMA.
I might tune in though. It depends on what my brother's doing. If my brother watches, I'll definitely watch in with him.
Yeah. Oh man, we had to talk about. I don't know. Did you see the Jair Rodriguez knockout on Chan Sung Jung on Saturday? Oh my God, never. I've been following this sport for more than 25 years, and I've never seen a knockout like that in the history of ever. Period. I mean, first of all, the fight was great. Overall, whole fight was great. At the buzzer, Jair Rodriguez lands a counter 6-12 elbow right on Chan Sung Jung's chin. So Korean Zombie as Chan Sung Jung comes straight forward, throwing a punch. Jair ducks it, and the counter is an upward elbow like this, like over his shoulder, so Chan Sung Jung's like over his right shoulder. Wow, perfectly placed, perfectly timed, right on the chin. Chan Sung Jung's out cold immediately with 1 second left in the fight. And the crazy thing about it is, according to the scorecards, Chan Sung Jung was winning the fight. So you get knocked out with it was insane, totally insane. So UFC Fight Night 140 has a heck of a act to follow after that.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about UFC. When guys get into these wars, and they're both like really tired, and we talked about that before, where you become a different fighter as it goes on, unless you're in that rare breed of like high stamina guys, right? Like Kane and Diaz or something like that, where fifth round you just like, what, you know what I mean? But this was a situation where both guys were done, and you can get caught like that. And I honestly think it speaks to his corner not have, and this is what people don't like about boxing sometimes, is when you have the fight won, you just need to backpedal, keep that dude out your face, and blah, blah, blah. And sometimes with MMA fighters, they want to fight that war to the end. It's this romantic idea of like both bloody guys standing toe to toe in the center of the ring, swinging on each other with not as much on it, you know what I mean? But they fight until they can. And we've seen those fights, and they're fantastic, but it's not smart.
It's not smart,
and that's why he lost that fight.
That is it is, and you are so right about that with MMA. The guys and girls are kind of more caught up in delivering a show than they are getting a win. Oftentimes, not all the time. And then it feels like when a guy or girl actually fights to win rather than fights to entertain with this bloodbath, they're criticized. So we've been talking a lot about expectations and listening to the wrong people on this show today. And I think that's just another example.
But here's a counterpoint to that, though. I think the UFC does an okay job. It's a give and a take. They do a good job of making sure that it's okay to lose if you put on a good show. So it's not always the worst thing for a fighter the way it would be in boxing, where I think your record is like super, what guys protect more so than their entertainment value and what's in a healthier position. So there's that side on that end of it, which is okay. On the other end of it, there's people like a Tyron Woodley who win and win and win, but because Dana don't like his style, and doesn't like his cage intelligence taken over, that he punishes him for it. And that's why I think it goes too far.
Yes.
Because if a guy is fighting like that, you should just be setting him up with fights with people that you think could beat him. And if he's the baddest man on the planet fighting defensively and strategically, then that's just where we are, and you just have to accept that. So I think it's, there's a couple of sides to that situation. So even though I sound critical of him losing that fight for that reason, I'm not necessarily, because I understand how it reflects the culture.
Yeah, and it's part of what has made Chan Sung Jung a favorable fighter in the eyes of fans. He's known as the Korean zombie because he comes straight forward, he takes shots, he never stops coming. And so he's playing to that whole thing. But at a certain point, you have to ask yourself, where do I want to really go with my career? And you have to not only preserve your opportunity to try to win a championship, but preserve yourself physically.
Yes.
But the fight was close. So I think it would have probably been a bad idea for him to assume that he had it won. So
but the way he went into that exchange was not well coached. That was like an anime, man.
Yeah, I mean, he
went in there like Goku.
Right, he had been landing that straight right hand pretty consistently. So I think that's what made him think that, it's a good opportunity. And then, and moments, like literally seconds before that happened, they had both stood in front of each other like the third or fourth time, like, and they playing. I thought they did that way too much, and they actually had drawn some boos from the fans. Yeah. But that finish made everybody forget that, right. But they were doing that a little bit too much. But speaking of the fighting, let's talk about fighting games. And I'm going to tell you what inspired me to bring this up today is I'm a big Soul Calibur fan. Right, I've always loved Soul. Even back to Soul Edge, right? We're on the Dreamcast. I've always loved the I don't know. It's always felt like Tekken with weapons to me, right? Mm-hmm. So I was really excited for Soul Calibur, the latest one to come out, right? And so I wrote up a lot of stuff about it, and I was playing it as a fan, not just a journalist. But I was very, very disappointed in the single player experience in the story mode. And I understand that it's somewhat difficult, right, to craft a story around a fighting game because, you're not walking around, you're not encountering NPCs or anything like that. Well, at least not that we can see, so to speak. So it takes some things to do, but I raised the standard for this based on injustice.
Injustice is the king. Well, it's not necessarily the king. There's other games that do very well. I think the Dragon Ball experience is pretty solid, and the Guilty Gear experience is very solid. Very good single player features. I agree with you, man. I think fighting games need to step up the single player experience because the games are fun to play, and there's value in just learning your character even against an AI opponent, and just give me a reason to do it. Take me out of the monotony of doing it. And I feel this actually, what I would go to is the career mode in the UFC games. It's very easy to blow through 2 or 3 divisions in that game because the carrot is always dangled before you of advancing. So I think, and that's not a lot of story, and that's basically a fighting game, but you create the story in your head because becoming a champion and defending the belt is in and of itself a narrative that you paint for yourself. So I think people in fighting games focus on stuff like what would be Fight Night Champion or Street Fighter story mode, or even the Injustice, the first main story to Mortal Kombat, the first main story where they got the cutscenes and dialogue. That stuff's all cool, but let's be real. That's never more than 2 to 3 hours of intro to the game. And to make it well-rounded, you usually have to play characters you don't really care about playing.
Yeah.
What Injustice does really, really well for me is when you go to the planets and go to this planet to unlock this gear. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or even just playing through with every character and getting some background on them, getting an outfit for them, getting some storytelling about them. You know, maybe you unlock a stage, whatever it is, but just some reward through narrative and artwork and music and all this stuff for playing the character.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree, man. It really it spoiled us, I think, as gamers, and to say, hey, you know, this is possible to do in a big budget story, in a big budget game. But from what I understand is they weren't given the biggest budget for Soul Calibur.
No.
Because
fans of the game are very happy with it.
Yeah. I mean, definitely happy.
The competitive people are very happy.
The competitive, oh yeah, definitely. It's pretty solid. It's really solid. Yeah. But I don't know. I like complete games.
I'm with you on that. And I think actually this is why I point to UFC over Injustice, because Injustice is Warner Brothers, NetherRealm. NetherRealm makes a lot of money off of their fighting games. They have a pretty good budget. And they've been iterating ever since, really probably since Mortal Kombat 9, I think is the start of it. But Injustice 1 was the first real turning point where we sort of model. And so we got Injustice 1, Mortal Kombat X, and then Injustice 2, where they really refining this process. Like the towers in Mortal Kombat, I find Mortal Kombat X to be very playable. And I'm not a good Mortal Kombat player by any stretch, but I could download that game and play it now just because of the way it looks and the you know, everything else, and like having the towers. There's always something to do. I don't need to be able to go online and beat people up to enjoy that game. Right. And that's where you want it to be. UFC, I don't need to go online and fight in order to enjoy it, although I know that is enjoyable. Yes. I'm perfectly happy just watching a UFC pay-per-view, being like, you know, it'd be fun to fight in that style, creating a character based on that. There's my own story in my head, and I go through the ranks, get up my money, get up my training camps, and get the belt. I think that's what fighting games need to establish, is some form of ladder that's rewarding, and that's cheap to do. You know, it's cheap to make that kind of content. You can do it with still screens, and you don't need a whole lot of voice acting and you know, mocap and animations and storyboards to make that stuff worthwhile.
Well, you know, I do say I don't dig the still screens in Soul Calibur story mode, that because they have one. It's just really bad. Yeah, the script is terrible.
Well, I'm speaking more to the Injustice still screens at the end of the arcade mode, when you do like one character and you just get kind of a few pictures of their story and what went on. Those are the still screens I mean.
Yeah, I like the part about Injustice's story mode that I enjoy the most are the cutscenes in between the fights.
Yeah,
I think they're very well done, very well written. The script is solid. It's just good, man. It's like watching literally an animated comic book. And it's dope. And it's just like when you get to the fight scenes, you get to participate. And that's what it feels like. It feels like you're literally flipping through an interactive comic book. And when it gets to the fight scenes, they hand you the controller.
You play.
You fight.
There's also something that Injustice does very well, is if you've never heard of any of those characters, you can just watch the game and know the relationships.
Yes.
Right. Some of the lines are actually very clever and fun. When they do the clash, they talk a lot of crap to each other. And in the end of the fights, in the beginning of the fights, you're aware of these friendships and rivalries.
Yes.
And this is something that the Japanese fighting games have really stepped back from, which is unfortunate. Street Fighter Third Strike, they had a lot of that stuff, where, you know, Ken and Ryu would start to fight with a fist bump. You know, Alex and Hugo would start to fight with a stare down. The two, you know, the ninja and the karate girl, Ibuki and Makoto, would start to fight with like a cross kick and stuff like that. Just these little things. And this was 2D animation, so it was much harder to do. I think these are fairly low resource things that they can add to these games to add more emotion and single player value. I agree with you.
I agree. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Just wish, you know, it's something I actually thought about writing about that, but I never got to it. But I did want to come back and talk about my overall displeasure.
Yeah. Did you do the Tales of Souls mode, or is this a different mode?
Well, the Tales of Souls, I think I forget what one of them are called. One of them is the storyline that you go through with your creative player.
Yeah.
And then the other one is just the storylines for the players that are there. And now I should say, I love the fact that you have a completely customizable character.
Yeah.
I would love if you weren't kind of just playing. Well, it's a little better than it used to be, because before all you could do is just use weapons and stuff that already existed on a character that was already there. So he was just kind of like mix and matching. Now there are some unique things, you know, because I would really love to see like a really crazy blown out create a character mode for a fighting game like this with crazy progressions and all that sort of thing. You know, I think that's a golden idea that for whatever reason nobody's done. Like the DC Universe Online is somewhat similar, but it's not totally. But you know, I would love to see
the mobile games seem to have a little more of that. It's not create a character, but the progression and all that stuff. I'm with you. I think there's room for innovation there. I would like to hear hear your feedback on the Tale of Souls mode if you get to play that mode a little more. Yeah,
I'd have to. I thought I might have tried it. I can't recall. I get a little mixed up with the names of the modes that I played. I know the thematics of it, but I don't know exactly.
Yeah, that's my brother's jam. He's in that mode all the time because he loves making characters. He's really good at it.
Yeah. That's pretty dope. Yeah. Oh, because I have made characters, so I just can't recall how much I've fought of them. No, so I haven't done enough of that actually.
Yeah.
To know for sure.
So, and speaking of not doing enough, you know who's not doing enough these days? You like that?
Yeah, we're going back to hoops, guys.
I got a rant, right?
There you go.
And it's going to be a short rant because I definitely want some feedback. Sometimes it's just you.
Sometimes it's just you.
Everybody wants to look outside for answers, and sometimes it's just you.
Yes.
So in 3 different teams in a row, Carmelo Anthony was not the issue. It was the management. It was the system. It was the management and the system in New York. It was, you know, the management and the system in OKC. And now it's the management and the system in Houston. It's why they're using them as a scapegoat. Everybody's defending them. They use them as a scapegoat. I didn't hear anybody say anything about Carmelo Anthony from Houston. Am I wrong about that? Did somebody from Houston say Carmelo's holding us back? Carmelo's the reason we're losing?
No.
The only time I heard them mention Carmelo is to say he's been great. It's not his fault.
Right.
That's not. I don't think they understand how scapegoats work.
Nah.
You're supposed to point at them, you know, and call them out as the reason. However, what the media and the basketball fans are looking at is the tape, the film, the video.
Yes.
Right? What do we see? Him not setting screens. And my man, Steven Jackson, you know, Steven Jackson has his ups and downs, but he's a real player's guy. Yeah. He said nobody in the NBA plays defense. I don't know how he could say something so stupid.
Yeah.
Because these players get mad when the media and the fans oversimplify things, and then you're going to come out and oversimplify stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't just say nobody in the NBA plays defense but 5'7" people. We all understand everybody's not Kawhi Leonard, right? But at the same time, there's a matter of covering your assignments, not requiring help all the time, not falling asleep, and then on the offensive end, setting screens, like, you know, rebounding the basketball, which is something Carmelo has always had very high potential to do and has never done to his level. Like when you see him on his best days, he can go out there and grab you 12 rebounds, but he's never dedicated himself to doing that, even though he's a talented rebounder. He just don't have the work ethic. Carmelo Anthony, I almost don't even want to get mad at him, right? Because he reminded me of myself when I came up. Half Hispanic, half black, a little chubby, don't like to run.
I don't like to run.
Carmelo don't like to run.
No.
And he's playing basketball. Half his problems come from the fact that he don't like to run. You know why he don't like setting screens? Because before and after you set a screen, you have to move. That's why he walked into the screen and walk out of the screen before it even happened.
He's got the slowest slips.
It's the worst. He would be very successful in Houston if he simply did 2 things on offense. 1, worked on his 3-point shot so that he could be deadly from out there. And speak to the laziness of this man, because he has so good of a mid-range stroke. All he has to do is extend his distance by 5 inches every summer to be a deadly 3-point shooter. Yeah. Other players have done it. DeMar DeRozan's doing it as we speak. And DeMar isn't the same kind of pure shooter for mid-range that Carmelo is.
Yeah.
DeMar is more of a leaner, fadeaway, coming out the post guy. Carmelo got a mid-range, sweet jumper.
Yeah.
All he got to do is extend it. He got to do is extend. He don't do that. And then if he extended it, guess what? Now you can set a real screen and work the pick and pop. And you and Chris Paul will be so hard to defend. But what's he going to do? Pump fake, take a step inside a three-point line, go to the basket, get blocked by a 6'10 defender who's taller than you, so you a mismatch on both ends. But it's everybody else's fault.
Yeah, the thing of it is, I don't think he's blaming other people. I think what's happening is his defenders and his proponents and his the people who are on his side, his advocates, are the ones who are blaming other people. They're saying, oh, well, Melo this or Melo that and Melo this. Honestly, I don't know what Melo did to garner the level of street cred and player approval that he has. I mean, Melo is like bulletproof with players. Like, I'm telling you, you just will not hear any player say anything bad about Melo. They just won't. I mean, it's like they sit up and they watch him give poor effort. They sit up and they watch him take bad shots, but nobody will dare say anything about it. It's really quite the interesting dynamic in the NBA. I really do. And I agree with what you're saying. Sometimes it's just, I said something to somebody years ago. I was having a conversation with a friend, and it was right after the Nuggets acquired Allen Iverson to play with Carmelo.
Mm-hmm.
Friend of mine told me, he said, oh, they're going to win a championship. I said, Carmelo Anthony will never be one of the best players on a championship team ever. I said, if he ever wins a championship, it'll be later in his career when he was just a tag along.
Mm-hmm.
I said, that's what he was like. I don't know where you're going to say that. He's averaging 24 points a game. I said, there is such thing called an empty 20.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, if I've never seen anybody in the world that give you an empty 20, Melo is a guy that can give you an empty 20. Melo gives empty 20s. Elton Brand used to give empty 20s, and Zach Randolph gave empty 20s. Zach a little less than the other two, but the other two for sure.
Well, Zach adapted later in his career and became much more of a team player. Zach used to be a black hole. I'm going to defend Melo a little bit in his prime, in the sense that when you score inside and beat guys up and you're a mismatch that extends the defense, in Melo's heyday, that worked for the mid-range guy more.
Mm-hmm.
And it made the team better, because those were good Denver teams. They won 50 games almost every year.
Yeah, they were good. Right? They were good, but
here's the problem is, I think you're right in the sense that Melo's issue is he plays the role of a Kobe Bryant without the skill of a Kobe Bryant. And Kobe Bryant played defense.
Yes.
Right? Especially in his prime, before the injuries. And after the injuries, he was still an intelligent defender that picked his spots. Because he defended Rondo and Westbrook better than most people when those guys were like super, super fast. Obviously, Westbrook's still in his athletic prime. But when Rondo was a dude that was constantly getting to the basket, Kobe knew how to gap him out better than anybody else in the Lakers uniform at that time, in my opinion. So, and that's why they put him on him. That's why you do that. Because you know what I mean? You wouldn't put him on Rondo if you didn't think he was good at defending Rondo. So Melo never evolving into a defender. And people say your game don't change. Why are people saying your game don't change?
That's because it's not true.
Paul Pierce.
He's a perfect example.
What? Jason Kidd.
Yeah.
Kidd.
Paul Pierce and Carmelo. That is where the track for Melo should have gone.
Absolutely. That's what he needed to do. And when you say Melo is not saying that defensive stuff, but if he don't take responsibility for his game, then he might as well be.
He might as well. It's a passive aggressive inclusion.
Because if you just gonna sit up there and take contested mid-range shots, you didn't work on your 3-ball all summer, you're not playing a role, you're not setting screens, you're not dedicating to rebounding, you're not improving your defense, my man. You telling me that he needs to be as bad of a defender as he is? He's literally one of the worst defenders in the league. I know he don't have the fastest feet in the world, but it's not that bad. No offense, but you telling me Joe Ingles has fast feet? Enes Kanter has genuine cement blocks in his shoes. He wearing steel foam posits.
Yes.
Right? But Enes Kanter tries on defense.
He tries.
And he's not often successful.
Right.
Particularly when it comes to when he has to move. But once he gets behind you and can use his strength, he'll make defensive stops. Melo is a turnstile.
Yeah.
On the ball, he's a turnstile. Off the ball, he's an airhead.
Yeah. His idea of defense is to come down and try to score on you after I give up the bucket that I know I'm going to give up.
Yeah.
You know,
and these NBA players coming out defending him, they really defending themselves because they are like supermodels, right? Their career starts ending when they hit 30.
Yeah.
And it's only the rare supermodel that gets to be a supermodel beyond that point. Most supermodels just gain weight and get married. Yeah, because there's a younger crop of supermodels coming in to take your job. And they're sensitive to being mistreated as they get older.
Yeah, I think that it's that, but I also think that it's just this respect thing that he has.
I think there's some of that.
I think he has a tremendous amount of respect in the league from players. And you know how it is when you respect somebody and you like somebody. When you respect the person and you like them, you're less apt to really, really hardcore criticize them the way you might criticize someone else.
Yeah.
And I think he gets a lot of the benefit of the doubt in that way.
And I will say this. He seems like a good teammate from a personality standpoint.
Yes.
He was a good mentor for the Knicks. He doesn't get a lot of credit for that.
Yes.
He tried to teach guys stuff, and I'm sure it worked. Like Porzingis was not necessarily happy to see him pushed out of town at the time and the way that he was, especially the way it began, which speaks to their relationship. He was great in both Baltimore and New York off the court. Seems like a good guy, and that's a lot of maturing because if you know him from his earlier Denver days, he was a knucklehead. He was getting into trouble and, all kinds of foolishness on and off the court. Stop
snitching videos and all.
Yeah. Little things, but dumb things, knucklehead things, which is we all dumb when we 19, 20, 21 for the most part.
Right.
But he matured out of that, and I think players saw that maturity. He's a loyal guy. He's good dude, all that stuff. I think you're right, but at the same time, it gets to a point of absurdity because he is a bad basketball player right now, and he's a bad basketball player. That is mathematically true. He's a bad basketball player.
Bad basketball player. I think he's a horrible. I think he's a horrible version of what he was.
Mazique, what other players in the league don't defend, don't set screens, and can't hit threes?
See, to say he can't hit threes, I think is a stretch. He's not a great 3-point shooter. I really just think in a different era. His thing is he has not transitioned. See, because at this point, and you said this already,
he can't finish at the rim no more either.
No, he can't. But at this point, you kind of said this already. The key for Melo to still be an effective player right now is to give effort on defense and to be as good of a 3-point shooter as possible. Because at this point, the best thing he can be is a stretch 4. That's the best thing he can be right now.
He can't defend a 3.
He can't defend a 3. He needs to be defending in the low post whenever and defending slower guys on the perimeter if they are out there. And he needs to be as good of a 3-point shooter as he can be. And on a rare situation where you have a mismatch and he gets to take a guy in a post, then fine. From 10 to 12 feet out, he can turn and face, or he can go use his back and use a fadeaway jump shot or whatever. But for the most part, his offensive aspect has to come from setting screens and shooting threes. The problem of it is that if you allow Melo to play the way he used to play, I still think he's a 20-point per game guy. But the game doesn't work that way anymore.
On how many attempts?
As many as it would take, but that's how he played.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of guys in the league that can get 20 if you just give them the ball and watch it happen.
I don't think it's that bad.
Jeremy Lamb will get you 20 every night if
No,
you just keep
I don't think it's that bad.
letting him go crazy.
I think if he was at a place where he's getting 17, 18 shots a night, right? And he's allowed to play the way he plays, which is from inside out for the most part. I still think he can score 20 a game. But the thing of it is that's just not what the game is anymore. And he has not transitioned well to what the game is now.
Well, and this is why I say he's a bad basketball player. Because getting 20 a game on 17 shots, not hitting no threes, not getting to the free throw line, not going to the basket, and you don't defend, you're an iffy rebounder at best. And when we say don't defend, we mean as a team defender and as an on-ball defender.
No, he's not a good defender.
And you're not a playmaker. You don't pass particularly well. His playmaking improved for a little while in New York. Now he doesn't get the ball enough to be a playmaker, and he doesn't have the special instincts to make plays in an efficient, limited time. That's not good value compared to everything else in the league. If you get a guy that can only defend his position and hit the corner three, that's more value than Carmelo Anthony, like by a lot.
Yeah, so no,
he's bad by it's relative to who else is doing your job.
I don't know. I just can't
say. Who would you rather have? Who would you let me put you a question then. What team would you put him on to make them better?
I don't think that the way he plays right now that he can make anybody better the way he plays right now.
That's because he's a bad basketball player.
I won't say that. I won't say that. If he
playoff team.
If he's on a team, right, and I'd have to look at the rosters or whatever. But if he's on a team whose entire second unit are solid defensive players, right? But none of them are necessarily A1 level scorers. If he's on that team, I think he makes that team better because he can come in, he can score, and his defensive deficiencies aren't as big of a deal. But
and
because he can get buckets.
And you know how I'm gonna close this debate? You just described the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they sent him packing.
You know what? I feel like that particular squad was difficult because when you're on first of all, he was not on the floor with the second unit very often. He was mostly on the floor with Westbrook, and that he's not going to play well with Westbrook. It's not anything personal. It's just the style. Westbrook, in order to play well with Westbrook, you have to move. You know what I mean? You have to dive to the basket. You have to, it takes a certain type of player to have.
Well, in order to play well with Westbrook, you either have to be able to finish at the rim or hit a three.
Yeah.
That you talk about movement. It's really that though. It's really that. If you look at it, right?
Yeah.
Steven Adams can finish at the rim.
Yes.
Paul George can finish at the rim and hit threes. Jerry Grant is improving his 3-point shot as time goes on, and he can finish at the rim. Even Schroeder can finish at the rim and hit threes. And they're playing, like with Westbrook, they've been playing very, very well. Like after his first 2 games coming back, they went on this big win streak. And their defense is up just because Melo's going. Now, Nerlens Noel is some part of that as well. He's been playing well. Jeremy Grant's playing well. But their defense, just by taking Melo out, improved, and they don't even have Robertson back yet. When Robertson comes back, they might be the best defensive team in the league if he comes back healthy.
There's no question about it.
Melo was such a detrimental impact to that because and here's the thing that I'm talking about, because they have to hide him on defense and teams are just switching to expose him, and you can expose him with any position 1 through 4. So it's whoever offense on Melo.
Yeah, you can. I don't know. It's just hard for me to 100% grasp and say that this guy just absolutely will never play a lick.
Well, it's his mentality. My thing is,
his defense has to do with pride. A lot of it has because Melo believes that he's this guy, right? He still sees himself as this guy.
Yeah, he still thinks he could get 24 if y'all just let him do him.
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes it's you.
Yeah, no, and I 100% agree with that. Sometimes it is you. I do think that he needs, if you're going to continue to play and you're playing for a ring and that's what you're trying to do, dude, you got to change yourself. You got to change yourself. okay, we may never prove 100% that you could still be a 24 point per game guy if the people just let you do you. We may not never get a chance to prove that, but I tell you what is 100% certain. If you don't start playing this complete game and start fitting into where you need to fit in, the end of your career is going to be a disappointment and a point of stress for you. Period.
And you know, the great example that I would point him to is none other than Chicago's finest, Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose is something. When he had that big game, everybody was talking about vintage Derrick Rose, but that was a lie. This was new Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose, who after years and years and years of disappointments, learned what he had to do to be a new person in the league. And I've been one of the first people to say on Sim Nation, he's still one of the more athletic point guards in the league. He's still fast. He can still jump. He don't want to jump because he don't like the way it feels when he come down.
Right.
But he's still faster than most.
Yes.
You know, and his talent of finishing around the basket is still there because he's always been very clever. But he's a bad passer for a point guard.
He is.
Right? He's a bad passer.
I would say he's average as a passer.
Well, starting all-star point guard is his judgment. Is what we're comparing him to.
Yes, he's definitely
on the way lower end of that.
Yeah, he's not a top 10 passer at all as point guards are concerned. He does a lot of things wrong when it comes to passing.
Yes, so he needed to change. Now, because of the flaws in his game, there's a lot of ways that he could have changed, and because he was at such a high level, you know, when he was in his prime. I mean, you could argue he never really reached his prime, but when he was approaching his prime, because he was at such a high level, there were some ways he could go to be a good NBA player, and he figured it out. Okay, I'm going to still throw some of these dumb passes, but I'm going to push the floor like I used to, but instead of just jumping and hoping for the best, I'm going to be a little more clever, and I'm going to add a three-pointer to my game, and I'm going to learn how to catch and shoot. Just by doing those things, all of a sudden, he's a starting quality point guard in the league again.
Yeah, he is.
If he could be healthy, he's easily a starting quality point guard in the league.
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
And you know, people say your games don't change. Of course your game changes. Everybody's game changes when they get older. It has to.
It has.
Sometimes it's you. And Melo has not taken the responsibility to reinvent himself, retrain himself according to his declining physical skills.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm tired of people defending him.
I don't disagree with that. I do not disagree with that. So we're going to go ahead and close it out there. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of At Me Bro. We will be back again next Thursday with another episode. We're going to cut this bad boy up in some segments. I think we got some juicy ones this time. So in case, you know, you ever miss an entire show and you want to get caught up, you have to watch it in segments. You always will get an opportunity to do that. So for myself and the birthday man, Books Nelson, I appreciate you, man. And I hope you have a happy, awesome birthday. And we will talk to you guys next week. Peace.
Pocket, I'll be weak. I'm rather unique.